Okay, good morning, class. Today is your cutting challenge for Wednesday. Now, here's the reason I'm doing this. Many of you are cutting this shape on your speaker front box. And what happens is you cut this at what's called a compound angle. Okay? Compound is a mixture of two angles. So what a student does is they cut this angle down here, but they also angle the saw here, as opposed to going straight back and only going here. So we have three types of cutting angles. We have a compound, which is a mixture of what's called a bevel and miter. Then we have a miter cut, which is when we keep the saw at 90 degrees and we twist it. So right here is a miter cut because the saw is going up, but it's just twisting. Here's another miter cut. So here's a 45-degree miter. You could have miters this way, this angle, this angle. Okay, so a miter I like to call is a twist. Twisting the saw. Then we have what's called a bevel cut. The bevel cut is right here. This is when we take the saw, we keep it going 90 degrees this way, but we tilt it. So right here, the saw is still going straight at 90 degrees. If I grab this, it's going 90, but it's tilted. So we call this a bevel cut. So I'm going to say tilt. Then a compound is when you do both. So you twist the saw and you tilt it. So it's a mixture of a twist and a tilt, or in construction terms, a miter and a bevel. That's what we call a compound. So I want you guys to practice these three cuts and to see if you can improve on these cuts, each one you do. So you're going to do 3 of compound, 3 miter, 3 bevel. Then you're going to take a picture and put it on the NEO assignment. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to get a scrap piece of wood. I would say at least this long. It can be any scrap wood. And you're going to turn it on its edge. Okay? And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make a miter cut. So you're going to get your square, make it tight, and you're going to draw the 45-degree side, not the 90-degree of our square. So I'm going to squeeze tight, draw 1, draw 2, draw 3. Okay? That's going to be our miter. Then on the top, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bevel. So all you're going to do is in the middle of your board, draw 3 square lines on the top. 1, 2, 3. Then the other one is you're just going to take, and we're not going to actually use the stop on our square. You're just going to draw any angle you want. So you can turn this at whatever angle. Draw 3. So I'm going to choose this angle. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, for this is going to be our miter. So now we're going to take our square. We're not going to hook it on this end because it can turn. So I'm going to flip this around. Go right here. I'm going to line this up and draw my square angles down, but I'm going to only go 1.5 inches down. So 1.5. So here's 1.5. Draw my line up. It lines up with this. 1.5 inches. Draw it up. 1.5 inches. Draw it up. Okay? So we're going to call this our miter. We're going to keep it. We're not going to tilt it. we're just going to twist the saw to cut this. This one is going to be a bevel cut. Okay, we're going to keep it this direction, going square, and we're going to bevel it. Just going to go down an inch, and we're just going to go down to the 10. So here, pull up, pull down to the 10, line it up right there. Okay. Then the last one is going to be a compound. So this is our bevel. It's going straight this direction and slanted, so we call this our bevel. And our last one is going to be a compound. So you're just going to choose, I'm just going to choose an angle. I'm just going to say I want to go at that angle right there. And I'm going to go at this angle right here. I'm going to go at this angle right here. Okay? So this is a compound because it's going at an angle here and at an angle here. This is a bevel because it's only going at an angle on the front. This is a miter because it's only going on the angle at the top. So remember, miter, you're twisting; bevel, you're tilting; compound, you're twisting and tilting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to line this up on the outside so we don't cut our miter box. And I would start over here. I'm going to start with the miter. The miter is probably the easiest, and I don't want you using this. I want you to freehand this. So I'm going to clamp this. Might be easier to clamp it this way. And what you're going to do is line up your saw on these. I'm going to start here. So I'm going to pull back right on that line until I get all the way through. Now, this should be going, we're not tilting it because it's a miter. We've twisted it, so this should be going straight up and down. So now, once I get that, I'm just going to lightly cut. Making sure that I'm not tilting, but I'm keeping this at 90 degrees. I'm only holding the saw with a few fingers. You should not be gripping this. If you're gripping it, you're trying to do the work. Let the blades and the saw teeth do it. So I'm just going to go down. Just let the blade cut as it moves forward. Okay, so now you can see I mitered it. The angle is going on the top, square or 90 degrees straight down the face. You're going to do 3. You don't have to be this close. If you want to space them out, you can. See if each of these can get better. Okay, now let's move to the bevel. So the bevel I'm going to put out here. Clamp it. And the same thing. Now this time I'm not twisting, but I am tilting. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to pull back again, right on that line. You want to keep the line, you don't want to go right on it so you can see if you're going at the right angles. Okay, so I'm going at 90 degrees across the top. Now I'm tilting it. This is our bevel cut, and I'm going to go right down, tilting my saw as I go down this cut. Your piece should be clamped. Keep your hands away. My piece is not clamped. Okay, now you'll notice my bevel was a little bit off. I didn't quite get that line. So that's where you see if you can get better each one. Okay, now the last one I'm going to move to this side. And this one is going to be our compound, which is what a lot of you are doing when you're cutting. So here's our compound. We have a miter, so we're twisting and we're tilting. So for this one, again, I always start by pulling back. Stay on the outside of this line. And now I gotta tilt my saw. I got the angle, I got the miter. Now I need to get the bevel and tilt it. And there it is. I went right down my bevel and across my miter. So you're going to do these 9 cuts, and the goal is that each one of these, I want you to label 1, 2, 3. This was your first cut, your second cut, and you should be improving as you go. Then take a picture of it, upload it for Neo, and there's your assignment for today. I will keep Zoom open if you have any questions, but we'll see you guys on Friday. I will be gone tomorrow. Have a great day.